Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, Kevin. I can set the scene here for you. About an hour and a half ago, we had a sheriff's deputy come up, park in front of the home. That caught everyone's attention. Now, not too long ago, within the last 20 minutes or so, we saw an unmarked vehicle with law enforcement drive up. The two spoke, they got back in their cars, and then we saw yet a third member of law enforcement walk up. 3 people walked to the back, 2 to 3 people walked to the back, and you can see them now.
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
That's Savannah Guthrie, Today Show co-anchor, sitting between her brother and sister, holding hands, exhausted, speaking directly to whoever has their mom. And when I tell you this video dropped just yesterday, February 7th, I mean it's still fresh. They're responding to messages, plural. Messages from someone claiming to have their 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, who was ripped from her bed in the middle of the night. There's blood on her porch. Her doorbell camera was disconnected. Her pacemaker went offline at 2:28 a.m. And now, a week later, there's still no proof she's alive. This case has the FBI, the president, and millions of people asking the same question. Is Nancy still out there? And was it someone close? Before we go any further, if you care about this case, if you want Nancy Guthrie to come home, hit that like button right now. Not for me, for her, for visibility. Because the more people who see this video, the higher the chance someone out there has information that could bring her home. This isn't about the algorithm. This is about a grandmother who needs her medication to survive. So please, like this video. Share it. Let's get Nancy's face everywhere.
What our drone team is describing to us, the Fox flight team is describing this as possibly a manhole. I heard Jonathan say that it could be some sort of water drainage. Either one of those is possible. We're not quite sure. But they've been poking around in there, almost like they're looking for a sample of some sort.
Now, let me tell you who Nancy Guthrie is, because this isn't just Savannah Guthrie's mom. This is a woman who lived a full, beautiful, heartbreaking life. Nancy Ellen Long was born January 27, 1942 in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She graduated from the University of Kentucky and married Charles Errol Guthrie, a mining engineer, on December 28, 1963. His work took them around the world. Savannah was actually born in Melbourne, Australia, in 1971. The family moved to Tucson about 2 years later, settling into a burnt adobe home in the Catalina foothills near Campbell Avenue and Skyline Drive. Nancy was a stay-at-home mom, raising 3 kids, Cameron, Annie, and Savannah. She created a warm, faith-filled home. She kept Christian journals. She played hymns on CD for her grandkids. She told them what Savannah called grandma stories, little parables about life and kindness. But everything changed in 1988. Charles died suddenly of a heart attack. He was 49 years old. Nancy was 46, left alone to raise 3 teenagers. Savannah was 16, about to start her senior year of high school. And you know what Nancy did? She went to work. She got a job at the University of Arizona, working in public affairs from 1990 to 2007, so her daughters could afford college. Savannah has said her mom made tuition possible. Annie and Savannah even had a pact. On weekends, one of them would always stay home so their mom wouldn't be alone. That's the kind of bond they had. Nancy became the rock of that family. She raised a fighter pilot, a poet and jeweler, and one of the most recognizable journalists in America. And she did it with grit, without self-pity, with what Savannah called unshakable faith. Fast forward to 2026. Nancy is 84. She lives alone in that same Catalina foothills home, the one she and Charles moved into back in the early 1970s when they relocated from Australia. She loved Tucson. In a November 2025 interview, she said, "It's so wonderful. Just the air, the quality of life is so laid back and gentle." She laughed about watching the javelinas eat her plants. She attended St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church every Sunday. Her family lived nearby. She had dinner with them regularly. She also had health challenges. She's 84 with limited mobility. She can't walk 50 yards unassisted. She has a pacemaker. She needs daily medication, and without it, Sheriff Chris Nanos has said it could be fatal. But mentally? Sharp as a tack. No dementia, no cognitive issues. This is not a wandering case. This is an abduction. And listen, can we pause for just a second? This case is getting massive coverage because of who Savannah is. But right now, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of families out there going through the exact same hell. Missing mothers, missing fathers, missing children. And they don't have FBI rewards or national news cameras or presidential phone calls. They're posting flyers at gas stations. They're begging for retweets. They're searching alone. If that's you, if you're watching this and your loved one is missing and nobody's paying attention, I'm praying for you right now. I'm praying for answers. I'm praying for peace. I'm praying your person comes home safe. You're not invisible. Your pain matters just as much. So here's what happened the night Nancy disappeared, and the details here are absolutely chilling. Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Nancy takes an Uber at 5:32 p.m. to her daughter Annie's home for dinner. Well, she spends the evening with Annie and Annie's husband, Tommaso Cioni. They eat, they play games. Normal family night. Around 9:48 p.m., Tommaso Cioni drives Nancy back to her home. Sheriff Nanos told the New York Times that Cioni made sure Nancy was safely inside before he left. Her garage door closes at 9:50 p.m. Authorities believe this is when Nancy got home and probably went to bed. But then things go dark. Literally. At 1:47 a.m., early Sunday morning, February 1st, Nancy's doorbell camera is disconnected. And here's the gut punch. At 2:12 a.m., the camera's software detects motion. Sheriff Nanos initially said the camera detected a person, but later clarified it could have been an animal. But Nancy didn't have a subscription to the surveillance service, so there's no footage. Just the detection. No video. The camera just loops and overwrites itself. Sheriff Nanos called this a disappointing setback. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker app disconnects from her phone. Think about that. Her pacemaker is connected via Bluetooth. At 2:28 in the morning, it goes offline. That means either her phone was taken, destroyed, or moved far enough away that the connection broke. Sunday morning, Nancy doesn't show up to church. A church member calls her family around 11 a.m. Her family goes to check on her at 11:56 a.m. What they find is a nightmare. At 12:03 p.m., they call 911. Deputies arrive at 12:15 p.m. Inside the home, investigators find signs of a struggle. Blood on the porch, later confirmed through DNA testing to be Nancy's. Her wallet and car are still there. Her phone is gone. Her medication is gone. Authorities believe she was taken from her bed. Sheriff Nanos is blunt. What I believe is that Nancy was removed from her home against her will. She's still alive. This is now a criminal investigation. The FBI Phoenix Division is involved. Border Patrol's Borstar Unit, a special operations group with advanced tracking capabilities. Search and rescue teams, drones, dogs. They comb the desert. They search nearby homes and businesses for surveillance footage. But here's the reality. Nancy's home is in a secluded area. No streetlights. Houses are spread far apart. Winding roads, thick desert landscape. CNN's Ed Lavandera drove out there and said he was struck by how dark it is. This is not a traditional neighborhood. That 12-hour window between when Nancy was last seen around 9:45 p.m. and when her family found her missing at noon? That's an eternity in an abduction case. And Nancy's out there somewhere, without her medication, without her pacemaker sinking, in pain, scared.
Ted, great to have you here on set with us at the Sheriff's Office. First of all, the news tonight, that gut-wrenching video we've seen, what did you make of it, Ted?
You know, Jonathan, it was shocking. I really was not able to comprehend it. You could look at this video in several different ways. It certainly, one thing we know about Savannah, she's a media personality. She knows how to speak plain, clear language. And I didn't see that there. And there were several things I must say to you, Jonathan, that stood out to me. One, this is the only way we can have peace. This. And then to say, this is a very valuable to us and we will pay. You don't talk about your mom in that way if your mom is still here. This is very valuable. You would say something like, we love our mom. Our mom is very valuable to us and we will pay. And you would make those kinds of arrangements. And so I'm deeply, deeply disturbed and concerned.
I want to pause here and ask you something. Have you shared this video yet? Because right now, Nancy Guthrie needs every set of eyes on this case. Someone watching this might live in Tucson. Someone might have seen something. A vehicle driving strangely that night. Anything. So please, share this video. Post it on your socials. Text it to someone. Let's flood the internet with Nancy's face. Let's bring her home. Now, this is where things get complicated and absolutely heartbreaking. Starting Monday, February 3rd, media outlets began receiving what appeared to be ransom notes. KOL in Tucson got one around 5 p.m. Monday. They sent it straight to investigators. TMZ got one. Well, these notes demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin for Nancy's safe return. They included specific details about Nancy's home, things like what she was wearing, details about the property, stuff only someone who was there would know. The first note reportedly had a deadline, Thursday, February 5th at 5 p.m. The deadline came and went. On Wednesday, February 5th, Savannah and her siblings, Cameron and Annie, posted their first video. Cameron spoke directly to whoever has their mom. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know without a doubt that she is alive and that you have her. They're asking for proof of life. Because in 2026, with AI and deepfakes, how do you know if a photo or voice message is real? They need to hear from Nancy directly. They need to know she's still with us. Then on Friday, February 6th, KOL received a second message. They forwarded it to law enforcement. The FBI and Sheriff's Department confirmed they're reviewing it for authenticity. Unlike the first message, this one made no new demands and provided no proof of life. And that brings us to yesterday, Saturday, February 7th, day 7 of this nightmare. Savannah, Cameron, and Annie posted a new video. This time, they're not asking for proof of life. They're responding. Savannah says,
We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
Let that sink in. The only way we will have peace. Not one way, the only way. That's a family preparing for the worst but clinging to hope. Former FBI agent Josh Campbell, who worked kidnapping cases, said the fact that they're posting this publicly on Instagram for the world to see means they don't have direct contact with the abductor. If there was an established line of communication, this would be handled privately, sensitively. The fact that they're going public means they're throwing a message out into the void, hoping whoever has Nancy will see it and respond. And here's the other layer. At least one of the ransom notes turned out to be fake. A California man named Derek Colella, 42, was arrested and charged with intent to transmit a demand for ransom. He saw the news coverage and tried to exploit this family's pain for money. He's been released on bond but faces federal charges. Absolute scum. But the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department are taking the other messages seriously. They believe at least some of them are credible. They're just trying to figure out which ones. So we need to talk about the elephant in the room, the brother-in-law, Tommaso Cioni. Early in this investigation, journalist Ashley Banfield, former News Nation host, reported on her podcast that a law enforcement source told her Tommaso Cioni, Savannah's brother-in-law, was a prime suspect in the case. TMZ picked it up. Suddenly, his name was everywhere. Here's what we know for sure. Tommaso Cioni is married to Annie Guthrie, Nancy's oldest daughter. He's around 50 years old, Italian descent, been living in Tucson. He's a science teacher, teaches 6th grade and AP biology at a basis school. And yes, Tommaso drove Nancy home from dinner around 9:48 p.m. that Saturday night. Sheriff Nanos confirmed to the New York Times that Tommaso made sure Nancy was safely inside before leaving. He was the last known person to see her. That's confirmed. But here's what's also confirmed. No suspects or persons of interest have been officially named. Sheriff Chris Nanos held a press conference on Thursday, February 5th, and was asked point-blank about suspects. He said they have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The Pima County Sheriff's Department released a public statement on February 4th saying, "At this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie." They added, "While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation." Here's what makes this even more suspicious, though. NBC News video from Friday night shows a car being towed from Nancy's residence as the FBI processed the home. Reports indicate it's a blue Subaru SUV that was in her garage, and it's believed to belong to Nancy herself. Investigators also reportedly went to Annie and Tommaso's home. There were reports of a trespassing incident in the neighborhood on Wednesday that investigators looked into. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not worth asking questions. Statistically, in abduction and murder cases, it's often someone close. That's just reality. The fact that it happened in the middle of the night in such a secluded area, someone would have to know the layout, know when she'd be alone, know there were no cameras running. That suggests planning, familiarity, but we have to be responsible here. Ashley Banfield's source, whoever they are, has not been corroborated by official statements, and the sheriff has been clear. They're investigating all leads, talking to everyone, but they haven't named anyone. So was it someone close? Maybe. Was it a stranger who targeted an elderly woman in an isolated home? Maybe. Was it someone who knew Savannah Guthrie as a public figure and saw an opportunity for ransom? Maybe. We don't know. And speculation without facts doesn't help Nancy. Before we talk about where the investigation stands now, I want to ask you to leave a comment. What do you think happened here? Do you think this was random, or does the fact that it happened in the middle of the night in such a secluded area suggest it was someone who knew her routine? Drop your thoughts respectfully below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. We're going to follow this case closely, and I'll update you the second there's news. As of today, February 8th, Day 8, here's where things stand. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to Nancy's recovery or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved. Tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI. You can also submit tips at tips.fbi.gov. Approximately 100 Pima County Sheriff's Department detectives are working the case, along with FBI agents and multiple local, regional, and national law enforcement partners. President Donald Trump called Savannah on February 4th and told her he's directing all federal law enforcement to assist. On Friday, speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump said investigators have very strong clues and answers could come fairly soon. When asked if authorities had identified a suspect, he said, "Yeah, could be definitive. But we don't know what that's based on. No official announcement has been made. Investigators have returned to Nancy's home multiple times, even searching the roof after a neighbor mentioned it looked too clean, which struck them as odd. They've interviewed neighbors, collected surveillance footage from nearby businesses, analyzed cell tower data. The FBI is providing analytical and technical support."
Everything we've gotten has been from our Fox Digital team. They were on site when about 4.5 hours after Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released that most recent video, they arrived at that home. They were there for about 2.5 hours. And according to our Fox team on the ground there, they could see, they could hear clanking of some noise being made. They could also see in the garage area what seemed to be flashes of light coming from a camera. And then they noticed in another whole opposite side of the house, we don't know if it was a bedroom, but it was definitely a different room, they started seeing flashing lights, camera flashes, they assumed as well. They also noticed that someone inside the home put up something to cover the window, probably as to, to keep the media from knowing exactly what they were doing. They were in there for quite some time, Kevin. Also, one of the agents was seen walking out. He had latex gloves on. They had a white folding table. They also carried out, one of the agents, a brown paper bag. We obviously don't know what's in it, but when you look at those types of behaviors and what law enforcement was doing there for so long, the family wasn't there, we understand. The question is, was this evidence collection? Because the behaviors there, if you go back to any other case that you've covered, Kevin, you and I both, that looks and sounds a lot like evidence collection.
Sheriff Nanos has said they're not ruling anything out, including the possibility Nancy was taken out of state. One of the ransom notes reportedly contained information suggesting she may no longer be in Arizona. But authorities have no confirmed proof of where she is. There's been no confirmed proof of life, no verified communication from whoever has Nancy. Just these ransom notes, some of which are fake, some of which might be real. And Nancy is out there. It's been 8 days. She's 84 years old. She lives in constant pain, according to Savannah. She has fragile health. She needs her medication. Savannah described her mom in that first video as a woman of deep conviction, a good and faithful servant. She said Nancy is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny, spunky, clever. She's a beloved grandmother to Savannah's kids, Vale and Charlie. This is not just a case. This is a woman who survived the sudden death of her husband at 46 and raised 3 kids alone. A woman who worked her whole life. A woman who loved Tucson, her church, her family. A woman who doesn't deserve this. I don't know how this ends. I'm holding on to hope, I really am. Sheriff Nanos said on Thursday he believes Nancy is still alive. That second deadline was reportedly Monday, February 9th. That's tomorrow. Maybe whoever has Nancy will see that video. Maybe they'll reach out. Maybe we'll get proof of life. Maybe she comes home. But the clock is ticking. Every day without her medication is a risk. Every day she's away from her family is torture. If you have any information, anything at all, please call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Or submit a tip at tips.fbi.gov. Even something small, a car you saw, a person acting strange, surveillance footage you haven't turned over yet. It all matters. And to whoever has Nancy, that family is begging you. They're willing to pay. They just want their mom back. Cameron, Annie, and Savannah, they will not rest until she's home. You still have time to do the right thing. Return Nancy. Let her come home. Let her celebrate with her family. Let her live out her days in peace. To everyone watching, share this video. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe for updates. And pray. Pray for Nancy. Pray for her family. Pray for answers. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you're new here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss updates on this case or others we're covering. If you've been here, thank you for being part of this community. Take care of each other out there, and let's bring Nancy Guthrie home.